Hey, hi, how are you? Welcome back to Where Are We Now? The only digital exploration series that is brave enough to go where lots of people have gone before. We're back in our home turf this time with some more user-created Gmod maps. Not only have the crops regrown since last we visited the workshop, but my preserved stockpile of older ones is still sitting here waiting for me to dig in. We are absolutely, positively swimming in worlds to explore. This must be what the Doctor feels like. Only, I don't use my TARDIS to seduce young women. I use mine to seduce everybody, en masse, but in like a cool, platonic, do-my-bidding sort of way. I love a good apocalypse. The running, the screaming, the perseverance of the human spirit. It never fails to highlight humanity's flaws and perfections. Hard times are like a mirror. You learn a lot about yourself when the motherships appear overhead or when the undead are clawing mindlessly at your windows. Not only that, but they almost always make for great spectacle in fiction. Even the most bland, lifeless apocalypse media usually has something in it that makes you think, oh, that's pretty cool looking actually. That's why, for this episode, we're focusing on apocalyptic Gmod maps. There's a lot of these to go around and a ton of variety. So I've curated what I think look like some really well-made apocalypse maps from the Steam Workshop for us to look at today. There's no better time to explore the world than after everyone else is gone. There's nobody to bother you. You can walk the eerie, scorched ruins of civilizations in peace. Before we get started, a quick thanks to all my supporters on Patreon, who make videos like this possible. Check the link in the description to learn how you can support my work for as little as $3 a month. Alright, get your gas mask on. It's time to go. Ready? Let's get into it. The first wasteland we'll be trudging through is called Ash Pit by Redstone Co. It looks like quite the place. I mean, when you think apocalypse, this has got to be as bad as it can get, right? Just miles and miles of dunes made up of the ashes of what I'm assuming was once a bunch of buildings and infrastructure. There are these blocks of sidewalk or something left in the ashes, so there's gotta be some stuff left standing somewhere. Yeah, here's a building. It looks like one of those apartment blocks you see in Eastern Europe, but why is there only one? Usually these things are spread out like weeds. Well, either way, shelter is shelter, and at the end of the world, this isn't anything to shake a stick at. Sure, the windows are long gone, but the walls are sturdy enough to have survived whatever caused this ash. And the floors above the first one are guaranteed to be less ashy. Let's head in and see if anyone's home. Hello, I'm named Trevor. If you see this, bring help. I'll be hiding north. Well, Trev, you just broke one of the most important rules of post-apocalypse survival. Don't trust any strangers with your location. By writing this on the wall at the entrance of what is likely the most attractive shelter around for miles, you have inadvertently told anyone and everyone who comes here exactly where to find a vulnerable, easy-to-rob person named Trevor. I mean, at least he just wrote north and not something more specific, but still, it pays to be careful. Besides that graffiti, the first floor doesn't have much to offer. Oh, there is a couple of glass bottles sitting around. Those are useful. I'm surprised someone left these here. In an apocalypse situation as desolate as this one seems to be, good containers for water are going to be hard to come by, I think. The stairwell in the center goes up and down, so let's check up first. Who knows how far down the basement is going to go? It looks like I was right about the second floor being more habitable, given that there isn't dunes of ash pouring into the open windows. And it looks like I'm not the first person to think that either. I guess cannibalism would start to happen pretty fast, huh? A starving person can only look at another starving person for so long without having thoughts. Realistically, though, it's best to start cannibalism early, when the people still have meat on their bones. In this room, there's a bunch of chairs sat around a black stain on the floor. My guess is that they just got bored and this was the most interesting thing around. I can see the appeal, actually. That is an interesting stain. What is it, though? It doesn't look like mold. Do you know how when animals decompose in certain environments, they just melt into this disgusting black sludge eventually? We could just be looking at that. Maybe this was like a raccoon or something. Up on the 3rd floor, there's a bucket with more of the black stuff around it, and a mug, along with some more bottles. Again, I don't think someone would leave these behind. Even if you have enough water containers, they would make for decent trade items if you come across a decently trustworthy survivor. I think someone lives here. Or at least they did up until very recently. If it's the cannibal, though, they're going to be very disappointed when they find me in here snooping around. For obvious reasons. God damn it, it's locked. I'm so nosy, a locked door hates to see me coming. More black goo. What the hell is it? I don't think it's as simple as a decomposed animal. It's not leaking from the ceiling. It's almost as if it's being brought here to the apartment for some unknown purpose. But where the hell does it come from? Finally, up on the roof. Oh, that's creepy. I hate a solitary mannequin just standing there. Ever since I saw I Am Legend, it just freaks me out. What are you doing out here, Fred? Hello. Hi, I guess. Maybe somebody put this here to deter would-be raiders. You're less likely to run up on a place if you see there might be a lookout who's packing. The vibes are rancid up here. Let's head down and check the basement for cheese or something. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like there's any cheese down here. Or any dairy, for that matter. Just more ash and moody graffiti. Something about seeing the truth? I can't really make it out from here. What's back here? All the light is on. That's surprising. Anyone home? What's that sound? Do I hear breathing? Oh, yeah, that's normal. Just the neighbors checking in on us. What was that? Was that the source of the black goo? The boogeyman? Okay, there is some weird shit going on here. This isn't your daddy's post-apocalyptic wasteland. Was that the wood breaking? Yep. There's more writing. A flash, just mining. There's 5 of us, bring help. And on the other side, this is heaven. Well, that's just a confusing message. So whatever that thing was got them while they were mining, huh? Hey, I just got a great idea. How about we get the hell out of this basement? Ah, much better. Breathe that fresh air. Ugh, it's probably like living in a cigarette filter out here. Let's explore the fog and see if there's anything else to find. Maybe we'll get some answers about that freaky thing in the basement. There's a car half buried in the ash with another one of these eye symbols like in the basement. It wouldn't make a half-bad shelter, actually, if you can't find anything else. You would have to share it with spiders and other critters, though. I guarantee you humans would not be the only animals to survive the fallout. Not too far from the car is some power lines that don't go anywhere. That's eerie. I'm actually amazed that these are still standing. Hey, there's like an actual house out here. Wow, it's in great condition, too. I almost have to wonder if it was built after the fact, since it's on stilts. That's pretty convenient for all these ash dunes. God is coming. Oh, she's here, buddy, and she's pissed. Have you gone outside? Ignoring even more of the black stuff in the kitchen, this is a really nice place, all things considered. There's a toilet, which I doubt works, but hey, it's there. There's also 2 mattresses, some furniture, and a solid roof over your head. If you block the windows up and bring some oil lamps in here, this would be the perfect place to stay. It looks like the previous tenants went a little crucifix crazy, though. There's also a decrepit siren tower, a lean-to with a radio, and a wrecked train out here in the fog, so it's good to know that the boxcar children are gonna get along just fine. You know what? I'd bet 6 water purification tablets that the mannequin we saw on the roof earlier is looking at something in the distance. That seems like something a Gmod map maker would do. Let's check that out. Man, it's all just ash for miles and miles. A sled would be killer tech to use out here. So what kind of apocalypse are we thinking? With this much ash around, the go-to answer is nuclear war, right? Or maybe some other type of man-made weapon that just caught the atmosphere on fire like they feared the first nuclear bomb was gonna do? I can't believe they still went through with it after learning that was a possibility. Humans are something else. Oh, what's this? It's a bunker. So the mannequin was showing us something. Huh. Don't really know how to feel about that, to be honest. Let's see what we've got here. So bunkers are a pretty good option for the apocalypse as long as the entrance and the air vents stay hidden. In this situation, the ash dunes would make it sort of a pain to maintain the entrance, but I guess that's what the shovel is for. I found the timeout chair. Oh, why are there so many down here? They look like they're posed mid-conversation. The one in the back is sad. This is freaky. And not in the good way. Surely the mannequins aren't alive, right? Right? Crawling in the ground. What is crawling in the ground? How come graffiti-writing lunatics always seem to leave out key pieces of the context? This doesn't help anybody, it just freaks me out. Why would you write this? There's some tally marks on the wall in this room, because of course there is. That's a staple of bunker living. If you add them all up, it comes out to 113, so it's probably how many days they've been down here. There's one more door down here, and it looks like they tried to seal it up. Damn my curious and whimsical nature. Well, that doesn't exactly bode well. What the hell is this? This isn't part of the bunker. This must be where those people were mining from that graffiti earlier. It goes deeper into another bunker. Oh, what the heckleberry fin are you? Jesus, that thing's freaky. Are those its eyes? Are they following me around? What am I even looking at here? Is this what was watching me in the basement? It's got a weird energy to it, whatever it is. For those of you watching from your home, try not to think of your email passwords or anything. This thing is probably reading all of your thoughts right now. Well, this does explain where that black substance comes from, but why were they bringing it back home in buckets? That's my question. And is this creature related to the apocalypse we're in? Probably not, right? This feels like something ancient. Something that's been lying dormant beneath the crust of the earth for eons, waiting to be dug up. It probably used mind control to force the people living in the bunker to dig it out. I guess they tried to bury it again, judging by the amount of barricades and wooden slats put in to wall it off. But I don't think you can just put the cat back in the bag here. It's free and it's hungry, whatever it is. And that about does it for all I could find in Ash Pit here. Now I promise you, there is almost certainly secrets and landmarks that I didn't find, but if I showed you everything, then you wouldn't have a reason to download the map and explore it on your own. The atmosphere here is great, and even though the fog makes it a pain to explore without lots of landmarks, it succeeds in attaining that Silent Hill feel of wandering through something that's always watching you. It's never not a treat when the mapmaker creates an actual monster in their map instead of just throwing creepypasta PNGs at you. Bonus points for the extra mile they went there. That thing in the bunker is really creepy looking. It reminds me of that grotesque corpse you can find at the bottom of Stormvale Castle in Elden Ring. Alright, that's one apocalypse down. On to the next one. How about some greenery for a change? The next abandoned location on our itinerary is called Green Hell by Trebuchet. And it's not about the survival game or the Misfits song of the same name. It's called Green Hell because nature is reclaiming the world. The overgrown urban decay is one of my all-time favorite signifiers in the sci-fi apocalypse genre. But just taking it in initially, I'm failing to see the hell part. It seems pretty chill. Maybe it'll become more apparent the more we look around. Maybe. There's a lot of car wrecks around. It looks like this flatbed truck crashed into this ditch. The truck actually looks newer than the husk of a car crushed underneath it. Look at that, that's way more rust than the truck has. So whoever crashed this truck must have come down this road long after the fact. They were probably here scavenging for food or electronic scrap or something. Those would be some of the more valuable items after the flow of commerce breaks down. Oh yeah, it looks like everything is picked clean in here. Figures. We're pretty close to the road right here. Hey, how long does everyone think it would take for it to become this overgrown in here? A decade or two? I mean, there are ferns and weeds flourishing in every corner, almost as if someone came in here and tore up the floor itself. I'm surprised this wooden table in the back has survived whatever this place has seen. I would have bet money on it either being ruined by termites or disassembled for easy firewood, but it looks to be in pretty good condition. And I actually only just realized that the light up here is working, so we have a functioning power grid, or at least part of one. That's surprising given the state of the lines outside. Someone must be keeping it maintained. A group of rugged survivors or something. Oh yeah, look at this place. It's Overgrowth City back here. It reminds me of The Last of Us. I still haven't played that one. It looks good, I just respect my wallet slightly too much to pay $60 for it. I mean, the game is 12 years old at this point. Jesus, what are we doing? I studied the first 15 minutes or so of it for a class, and in my opinion, it's some of the best apocalypse exposition I've seen in a video game. But you know what other post-apocalyptic game has a stellar opening act? Metro Exodus, which came out 6 years after The Last of Us, and costs half the price. You can slap DLSS and ultra-wide support on it all you want, Naughty Dog. It still came out 12 years ago. Are those Portal and Left 4 Dead skins really worth that much? Yeah, see? You know better. Anyways, my penny-pinching ways aside, there are a few of these transmission towers around and they seem to be in pretty good condition, all things considered. Maybe if I follow them there will be treasure at the end. Or is that rainbows? I can never remember if it's transmission towers or rainbows. Nah, it just leads to some decrepit industrial sector. I think... Is this a parking lot? Or was it at some point? Damn, those trees are fully grown too. This place has been abandoned for a long time. I'm no dendrologist or anything, but these guys look fairly tall, so we could be looking at anything between 20 and 50 years of growth. Obviously there are a lot of factors, so it varies, but even my most conservative estimate puts these guys at 15 years old. That's definitely enough time for the transmission towers overhead to stop working and break down, so they've got to be being maintained by someone. Life finds a way, and so does electricity. This is a pretty gentle apocalypse so far. I haven't seen a single body or bloodstain yet, or any other signs of chaos besides the couple of car wrecks we went by earlier. This is basically vacation after exploring those ash dunes. So what sort of breakdown could cause something like this? It looks like people just disappeared and their things were left to rot and rust away. This is a lot of infrastructure to just leave behind like this. There are no military vehicles, artillery craters, or fortifications so far, so there's been no invasion as far as I can tell. Could it have been an EMP? A solar flare, maybe? If either of those things happened on a global scale, it would send us back a couple hundred years or so, I think, since all of our existing electronics would be fried. I don't pretend to know the exact extent of the damage something like that could cause, but maybe this far in the future, people are finally able to get some power up and running, and that's why we have clear activity on the power grid. But that still doesn't solve why this place would be this abandoned and this overgrown. I mean, most of these buildings have grass growing inside of them. That doesn't happen with people around, unless you're like a druid or something. And it's not like rural places like this wouldn't have any value at all. I mean, humans still need protection from the elements and privacy and whatnot. If this is a mass electronics breakdown situation, I would expect it to be made fairly difficult for goods and services to reach out from urban centers and into rural places like this. People living in rugged areas like this love to brag about living rough away from all them city folk. But I guarantee you that the ones that aren't stubborn enough to literally die on their hills are going to be flocking to those very cities they once despised once the lights go out. As soon as the Dodge Rams won't start anymore and the running water turns brown, there would be mass arrivals into cities. Unless you're Amish. The Amish would be fine. Every urban center would rapidly turn into its own unique version of hell, with hundreds of thousands of people with conflicting worldviews being forced to live an arm's length away from each other. At least at first. Oh hey, I found the hell. I found it. Then humanity would start breeding more horses and building more carriages, thus extending the reach of things like emergency medical services, DoorDash, firefighting, all that stuff. Allowing people to slowly leave the cities and retame the countryside in an outward expanse, just like many countries did during the Industrial Revolution. And I think that's the exact stage of post-apocalypse we're seeing right now. Fledgling activity in all this rural decay. I mean, you can't tell me that crane has been holding that cargo container up like that all these years. They must have gotten that up and running very recently. I guess if you could somehow maintain the cord and come up with a way to remotely raise and lower the crane's arm, that cargo container would be a pretty sweet place to live if you're not afraid of heights. I have trouble imagining even the hungriest raiders scaling the scaffolding of the crane just to get at someone who may or may not have food up there. There's another old industrial-looking building out here. This reminds me so much of DayZ. Man, to be able to go back to like 2012 and experience the original Arma 2 mod at its peak would definitely be one of my gaming genie wishes. Now it only survives in old YouTube videos and screenshots, but the heyday of the original mod was something else. The games trying to capture that same feeling are a dime a dozen now, but back then, buying Arma 2 and then installing the DayZ mod was the only way you could experience the gameplay of having a few dozen players exploring an extremely large map, competing for each other's loot, building bases, raiding each other and stuff. So when you play Dune Awakening or whatever, just know that you have the Arma 2 modding community to thank for pioneering that experience. Battle Royales, too. Little known fact, PlayerUnknown's original Battle Royale game mode was an Arma 2 mod back in the day before it was its own game. You can actually find these videos of Frankie on PC's YouTube channel of him playing the mod, and you can see PlayerUnknown himself typing in the in-game chat. It's the earliest example of a Battle Royale style game that I know of. Let me know if I'm off the mark on that, but I want to say it was the first, just ahead of those Minecraft Hunger Games servers. Kinda crazy how a buggy Arma 2 mod is the reason behind one of the biggest gaming crazes of the last decade. That's what's so cool about gaming nowadays, you just never know which ideas are gonna take off. Alright, and I think that about does it for Trebuchet's Green Hell map. It's beautiful here. I love it when plants clap back and reclaim stuff like this. I think this map captures a plausible and very grounded apocalypse scenario. There are no dark secrets or eldritch horrors or anything, but it sure had me appreciating that classic Source Engine ambience. I guess you could convince me that there's no apocalypse at all and that this is just an abandoned section of Chernobyl or something, but that's still sort of a small apocalypse of its own, isn't it? Well, either way, great job on this map, Trebuchet. It has been an absolute pleasure to explore it. The end of the world is pretty fascinating, right? Let's get a little more urban with this next one. For the final map of the video, we'll be exploring City Apocalypse by Johis Killer and Olivier. This is actually a remastered version of a map that was made way back in 2009. It was originally made for the Counter-Strike Source Zombie Survival game mode. The map you're looking at right now has seniority over all of you Nextbot PNG Gmod players, so show some respect. Man, I gotta say, as a lifetime member of the Resident Evil fan club, this makes me extremely happy. People like to dump on the Resident Evil 3 remake for leaving out content and being way too short, which is completely justified. But the first 10 minutes or so of that game has gotta be one of the best portrayals of a sudden, chaotic zombie infestation that I've seen in a game. I almost wish that beginning section where cars are crashing and people are running away and things are just getting worse and worse by the second could last like an hour plus. And it looks like I'm sort of getting my wish here. This has a similar vibe. In contrast to the other maps we've looked at in this episode so far, I can tell that we are in the shit with this one. Things are just now getting bad. There are sirens in the background, the fires are still burning, and there are abandoned military vehicles in the street. That's how you know things are bad. Wow, there's a lot of blood in this building. It's not definitive yet, but the scales are tilting pretty rapidly in the favor of this being a zombie scenario. I guess it could be like killer insects or something. Whatever it is, some sort of sudden and intense danger has caused this city to descend into utter chaos. And hey, am I crazy? Or does this corner upstairs give more than a little bit of Nachtster Untoten vibes? The OGs will know what I'm talking about. Oh, damn. Oh yeah, it's an absolute bloodbath in here. This poor schmuck is burnt to a crisp. Yeah, definitely zombies. 100%. Man, it would reek in here too. Good thing I don't have a nose. This is one thing that isn't used enough in zombie stuff. Fire poses an extreme threat to urban environments like this. Since everything's so congested, it wouldn't take long at all for a big enough fire to claim large swaths of the city once emergency services break down. There's a good level in Resident Evil Outbreak that captures this fairly well. Shit, I want to say that environmental hazards like fire and collapsing buildings would claim more people than the actual zombies would in a situation like this. I guess it would depend on which type of zombies we're talking about. Classic Romero-style zombies, I think, are pretty easy to survive as long as you don't panic or make poor decisions. But that's a totally different story from 28 Days Later zombies, who will run you down in seconds if they spot you. I wonder what kind we're dealing with here. Hey, the stairs being broken in the second floor of this building would make up there a pretty good place to wait all this out, if only the floors weren't made out of wood. With this fire down here, I give it an hour or two before this place is burnt down to its brick foundations. Oh, what happened to you? I guess that's a stupid question given the circumstances. Hey, for all you commenters out there, is it true that Valve used a real dead person's face for this corpse texture? Or was that proven to be a hoax? I saw that floating around a few years ago and never followed up on it. I kinda doubt it, but there's a similar thing going on with Dead Space. I once heard that the character designers for that game studied photos of car crash victims to give the necromorphs a real gruesome look, to make the game more scary. Which, I mean, worked really well. My pants are always mysteriously full of shit when I play that game, but man, I hope those artists got therapy after the fact. Hey, it's not too bad in here. But once again, the building is on fire. Is there any place left that's not a blazing inferno in this town? Man, fire is tenacious, isn't it? Ah, see? The fire tried to eat me. I guess I got tired of buildings. That's what I get for not sidling. I can safely say I don't think I've ever sidled in real life. That's a skill reserved for firefighters and rock climbers as far as I'm concerned. Hey, it looks like there are some legitimate attempts at surviving in this building. They have some vending machines up here, a bunch of ammo crates lying around, and they even tried to barricade a couple of the windows. The fire probably cut those efforts off short, though. I don't think anyone would be desperate enough to move into a building that's actively burning down. It looks like they made the right move by trying to build a plank bridge over the alleyway, though. Yeah, this building is much better off. I think this is the first one we've seen that's not going to be an ashy husk in a couple of days. They should get that fire next door under control, though. The rain isn't doing enough to quell it, and those buildings look very old, so I doubt there are firewalls. Hey, roof access. Nice. If you put a couple tarps up here and lead the water flow down into some drums, you've got a source of water as long as you boil it first. Dude, this is making me want to play Project Zomboid so bad. That game is gold. Solid gold. If you haven't seen my video on it where I try to survive 2 weeks, you should check it out. It's one of my favorite videos I've ever made on this channel. Wow, check out the skyscrapers in the background. This city's bigger than I thought. It's like Boston. Or Buffalo. One of those little big cities, you know? Definitely somewhere in the US. I have to tip my hat to the effort put into the soundscapes here. Listen to the sound of the rain change as I pass under this sheet metal awning. Just immaculate attention to detail. Honestly, the only thing hampering the mood they're going for here is the Source Engine rain. As much about the Source engine that has aged like a fine wine, the weather effects are not one of them. This looks pretty bad now. A custom particle system could do a lot here. Is that a whole-ass harpoon? Just sitting on the ground? Well, use what you've got, I guess, but a harpoon would be a really bad weapon choice for zombies, since the hook there is meant to snag and pull things towards you. I guess if you're throwing it, it's fine. Yep, see? They got this guy with it, but couldn't pull the harpoon back out again. If you could break that hook off, you'll have a spear, which is, in my opinion, going to be one of the single most effective weapons for shamblers. 9 times out of 10, if we're talking zombies, pointy stick clears everything else easy. You can make one with just a good piece of wood and a knife. You have reach, stabbing action, slicing action. The only thing better than a straight-up spear might be a halberd, so that you can have access to chopping motions as well. I will admit, though, a spear would get you into trouble in close-quarters situations. If you're in a building, a baseball bat or something would serve you better, but a spear is what I'm reaching for most of the time. You know what? This building isn't a bad spot to be in at all, especially up here on the 3rd floor. It looks like someone went through some real effort to fortify it. There's barbed wire, barricaded windows, ammo crates, and even sandbags. Now, I just know those were a pain in the ass to get up these 2 flights of stairs, but it would be worth it. The harder something is to move, the better a barricade it's gonna make. Yeah, you could live up here no problem. It would get a little chilly because of the hole in the wall, but if you break down these stairs and bring that ladder from earlier up here, this place is foolproof. Supply runs would be troubling, obviously, but if there are well-meaning survivors in the surrounding buildings, then you could make it a little easier to trade things. In Alive, which is a Korean COVID-era zombie film, the characters use drones to set up a sort of pulley system between their high-rise apartments that stretches across the courtyard in the middle, so that they can send each other supplies. I think that's pretty feasible. The only hard-to-find component of that plan would be the drone itself. So, that's something you could do here. That movie's okay, but I'm not assigning it as homework. It's no Train to Busan or anything. One nitpick I do have of it is that the characters use their devices over the month or 2 that the movie takes place, despite the fact that a major plot development early on is that the power gets shut off. You can't convince me that these 2 characters just happened to have dozens of battery banks in their apartments for this exact contingency. The more I explore this map, the more I'm realizing just how well made it is from a pure level design perspective. It has great overlapping movement flows and super rewarding kill zones. Not to mention there's a lot of little hidey holes. You could play TTT, hide and seek, or murder on this map and it would work flawlessly for all those game modes. I think a team deathmatch with about 20 or so players would go crazy here. Whoa! What happened to that guy? How'd he get up so damn high? Going with the angle of the trajectory, someone must have thrown the harpoon at the guy from up there, who I'm assuming is a zombie since he looked all messed up and bloody. So I think it's safe to say that we're dealing with sprinters here. That's the only reason I can come up with as to how he got up so damn high. I think what happened is the zombie jumped at Captain Ahab here, caught a harpoon right to the chest, it got skewered to the wall. He must have an absolute cannon of an arm. What the hell? This is just a regular guy. He doesn't look like a zombie. Damn, Harpoon Guy is out of control. Yeah, people turning on each other would happen faster than you'd expect during a breakdown of law and order. Look, he didn't even have time to draw his piece. He was probably just on guard duty when Ahab came around the corner and stuck him. Poor bastard. What's this? An open manhole cover just for me? Aw, you shouldn't have. Yeah, it's nasty down here. The sewers might make for a good covert way to move around the city in some apocalypses, but in the zombie apocalypse, I sorta doubt it. Most manhole openings are right in the middle of the street, are they not? That's like the last place you want to be when flesh-hungry lunatics are on every street corner. If you've been to Florida before, you know what I'm talking about. Not only that, but sliding the cover across the asphalt is pretty loud too. Shamblers and sprinters alike are gonna turn their heads towards any unusual sound. So I have to recommend against using the sewers, unless you really know what you're doing. And most of us don't. In this map, they're pretty cool though. It leads right up into an old unfinished basement. This would be a great spot for mass storage or a home gym. Up the stairs is a regular apartment, and what the hell is this Combine Tech doing here? Is that the G-Man? Wait, come back! I need to hear about my car's extended warranty. He's gone. So this is a curveball. The Combine don't really fit here if this is zombies, because if they were half-life zombies, there would be dead head crabs all over the place lying with the bodies, right? I found the code to the keypad in an earlier apartment, but I'm not gonna squeal. You'll have to find it on your own. Oh damn, there's actual Combine back here. It looks like they're getting their asses beat. And those are ordinary zombies without head crabs. Oh yeah, they're having a rough go of it in there. That's what you get for having a cool voice and being all and shit. So I guess this is an admin room of sorts. I love finding these. It was probably a lot of fun back in the day to hang out in here watching the other players fight for their lives on the other side of this window. There's not much back here besides that, but it is a neat Easter egg. And the rest of the apartment is pretty secure too. There are no fires, no giant gaping holes in the walls, and none of the floors have given out beneath my bony feet yet, so that's a win in my book. There are lots of rooms you could hide in or use as storage for your labubus. The top floor has gotta be the best place to live in the entire map though. I would even go as far as saying that it's untouched by the apocalypse up here. It's just suffering from bad feng shui, which is better than having corpses strewn about the floor this way and that. I'll take bad feng shui if the alternative is that the other buildings are literally on fire. And that's pretty much all there is to see on City Apocalypse. It's incredibly atmospheric, has a hidden storyline about a harpoon-chucking maniac, and has the most blood and viscera out of any other map we've seen on this series so far. Well done. And I'm not just talking about the flesh of the bodies laying around. The map is great. It's pretty easy to tell that it's been refined and tuned over the years. It has a certain classical feel to it that I dig. And I mean nighttime, rain, apocalypse setting. It's like the perfect storm of my favorite kinds of environments. It's been a great map to explore, and I bet it's even better when it's in use for other game modes. The end of the world is actually not so bad when you get used to it. I mean, dying sucks, but at least you get to see the chaotic teardown of long-standing systems of oppression. The equalizing power of a wide-reaching apocalypse is a big part of what makes it such an entrenched theme in fiction. There's something comforting about the idea that there could be something so big that not only is it bigger than us, but also bigger than the groups in charge. So much bigger, so uncontrollable that it brings them to their knees. King or peasant, billionaire or fry cook, it doesn't really matter that much when total annihilation is on the table. Sure, you might have higher chances of survival at first if you're in the upper echelons of society, but the fact is, the power they hold is an illusion. It's just a manifestation of their ability to profit off of the work of others, and it gets shattered the second that something dangerous looms over everyone and the status quo becomes an old fairy tale. When the air is hard to breathe and food is hard to come by, those countryside mansions and expensive bunkers start to look like pretty tasty morsels, don't they? The maps we've looked at today have been extremely satisfying in terms of exploring the world in the throes of calamity. We covered a lot of ground and saw 3 very different portrayals of the end times, all with their own unique survival struggles. Obviously, Green Hell would be the least dire situation to live through. If you're in good health and you're willing to work hard, you have decent chances of surviving a solar flare or EMP incident, at least for a few years. Your life would just change really drastically. Geez, the world might actually be better off in the long term since it would cut down on climate change. The nuclear war that I think happened in the lead up to Ash Pit gives you slim to no chances of survival in my opinion. And whoever does survive is going to be living a really miserable life, especially with Tentacle Timothy down there stalking you from within the ash dunes. City Apocalypse survivors, I give maybe a 25% chance of survival. I was going to be generous and say 50% since zombies aren't hard to survive with a little bit of know-how, but with that batshit insane harpoon thrower running around, that chance gets axed a bit. These maps were all great. Everyone is so damn talented. Check them out with the links in the description, and maybe leave some kind words for the creators. They deserve the attention more than I do. Thanks for tuning in to episode 16 of Where Are We Now? I hope you enjoyed walking through the end times and seeing the sights along the way. Special thanks goes out to my patrons, who are all at least equally as passionate about exploration as I am. And don't forget to keep hand-crank flashlights and radios in consistent and easy-to-remember spots around your home. Alright, see ya.